The massive space station slowly turned in the empty space around Kepler Prime. The station was bigger than most moons, with shining metal walls and glowing windows that stretched for miles. Inside its largest chamber, the Galactic Council was having another ordinary day. Council Speaker Zethkar stood at the center of the Great Hall. His body was made of living crystal that caught the light and threw rainbows across the walls. He was 12 feet tall and moved with the slow grace of someone who had lived for thousands of years. His voice rang out like bells when he spoke. The trade dispute between the minor worlds and the gas giants is now settled, Zethkar announced. Both sides have agreed to the new shipping routes. Around the huge circular chamber, representatives from 12 different alien species sat in their special seats. Each seat was designed for a different type of body. Some aliens breathed different air. Others needed different gravity or temperature. The council had spent centuries making sure everyone could meet together in comfort. Ambassador Velinari of the hegemony nodded her approval. She looked like a giant butterfly with 4 arms and skin that changed colors with her moods. Right now, her skin showed calm blue patterns. Another peaceful solution, she said in her musical voice. The council serves the galaxy well. On the other side of the chamber, Fleet Commander Torgan of the Rock People rumbled his agreement. He was built like a moving mountain, with stone-like skin and eyes that glowed like embers. Despite his scary appearance, he was known for his gentle nature and love of poetry. These meetings had been the same for 3,000 years. The council would gather, discuss problems, and find peaceful solutions. They had not seen a real war in all that time. Violence was something from the old stories from the dark days before the council brought peace to the galaxy. Next item, Zethkar said, looking at his crystal tablet. The science division has a report about new life in the outer systems. Dr. Klizara floated forward. She was one of the gas people with no solid body at all. She existed as a cloud of thinking gas inside a clear container that helped her move around. Her voice came from speakers built into the container. 3 days ago, our long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures from a system called Sol. Dr. Klizara reported. The system is located in the outer spiral arm about 26,000 light-years from here. How unusual? Asked Ambassador Rickstall of the Hive Minds. He looked like a giant ant with silver skin and compound eyes that saw in all directions at once. Behind him, his smaller drone assistants took notes on everything that was said. The energy patterns match faster than light travel, Dr. Klizara explained. But the technology is completely unknown to us. It appears that a new species has just discovered how to travel between stars. A ripple of interest went through the chamber. New species were always exciting, though not very common. In the past 1,000 years, the Council had welcomed only 6 new members to the galactic community. What do we know about this species? Zethkar asked Dr. Klizara as gas swirled as she thought. Very little. They call themselves humans, and they come from the 3rd planet in the Sol system. The planet is mostly water with large land masses. Our scans show they are carbon-based life forms, similar to several existing council species. Carbon-based, mused Ambassador Velinari. That usually means they are either herbivores or mild omnivores. Peaceful species, most likely. Commander. Torgan shifted his massive stone body. Have they tried to contact us? No, Dr. Klizara replied. Our signals to them seem to be ignored. Either they do not have the technology to receive our transmissions, or they are choosing not to respond. Probably the first option, said Ambassador Rickstall. New space-traveling species are often overwhelmed by their first trips away from their home world. They focus on the mechanics of travel rather than communication. Zethkar nodded slowly. This was normal behavior for newly advanced species. They were usually scared and confused by their first contact with the greater galaxy. It took time and patience to help them understand that they were not alone and that the galaxy was a safe, peaceful place. What are your recommendations, Dr. Klizara? The speaker asked. Standard first contact protocols, she replied promptly. We should send a diplomatic vessel with the usual gifts. universal translators, basic technology, and offers of friendship. Once they understand we are peaceful, they will probably be eager to join the galactic community. Around the chamber, heads nodded in agreement. This was how it always worked. A new species would take their first scared steps into space, and the council would be there to welcome them with open arms. Within a few years, the new species would have a seat in this very chamber and would be helping to maintain the peace that kept the galaxy safe. I volunteer the hegemony to lead the first contact mission, Ambassador Velinari offered. Her skin patterns shifted to hopeful yellow and green. My people have experience with carbon-based species. An excellent choice, Zethkar agreed. Dr. Klizara, please prepare the standard welcome package. Include language primers for the most common galactic languages. Already prepared, Speaker? Dr. Klizara replied. We also have gifts suitable for a species at their technology level. Basic quantum communicators, star charts of the local area, and medical supplies that should work with carbon-based biology. When can the mission depart? Asked Commander Torgan. The diplomatic ship Heart of Peace can be ready within 6 hours, Ambassador Velinari said. It is currently docked at Station 7. Perfect, Zethkar said. Let us welcome these humans to the galactic community with the same kindness we have shown all our new friends. The council members began to discuss other business. Trade routes needed updating. A mining dispute on the edge of council space required attention. Ambassador Zelmuth of the Plant People wanted to discuss new gardens for the station. Nobody gave much more thought to the humans. They were just another young species taking their first steps into the larger universe. In a few months they would probably have an observer status with the council. In a few years they might even earn a full seat. It was all routine. After 3,000 years of peace, everything was routine. Dr. Klizara floated back to her science station and began preparing the welcome gifts. She selected the finest examples of council technology that were appropriate for a new species. Communication devices that would let the humans talk to any council member. Star maps that would show them safe travel routes. Medical scanners that could help them understand their own biology better. She also included cultural gifts, music from a dozen different worlds. Art that showed the beauty and diversity of galactic civilization. Stories about the council and how it had brought peace to the stars. The humans would be grateful, she was sure. All new species were grateful when they realized they were not alone in the universe. They were even more grateful when they learned that the galaxy was a place of peace and cooperation, not the war and violence that seemed to plague most young civilizations. As Dr. Klizara worked, she wondered what the humans would be like. Probably small and cautious like most carbon-based species. They would be nervous about meeting aliens for the first time. But they would also be curious and eager to learn. She smiled, or at least made the gas equivalent of a smile. First contact was always one of the most rewarding parts of her job. The Heart of Peace would reach the Sol system in 3 days. Image description for Leonardo AI. A massive alien council chamber with a domed ceiling covered in stars. In the center stands a 12-foot-tall crystalline being made of living crystal that reflects rainbows. Around the circular chamber sit 12 different alien species in specialized seats. A 4-armed butterfly-like creature with color-changing skin, a mountain-sized rock creature with glowing ember eyes, a giant silver ant-like being, and a floating cloud of gas in a transparent container. The chamber has flowing curved walls with glowing panels and windows showing space outside. The scene has a sense of ancient wisdom and peaceful authority, with warm lighting and an atmosphere of diplomatic grandeur. 3 days had passed since the council meeting. Ambassador Velinari was in her private quarters, preparing for the journey to the human homeworld. Her skin showed excited patterns of gold and silver as she packed cultural gifts and diplomatic tools. The Heart of Peace was a beautiful ship, designed for comfort and peace. It had large windows, gardens, and meeting rooms where different species could talk safely. The ship carried no weapons. Why would it need them? The galaxy had been at peace for 3,000 years. Velinari was choosing which music to bring when her communicator made a soft chime. The voice of Dr. Klizara came through, but she sounded worried. "Ambassador, please come to the sensor." "Station immediately. We have detected something unexpected." Velinari's skin shifted to confused purple patterns. She had never heard Dr. Klizara sound worried before. The gas being was always calm and scientific about everything. Velinari hurried through the station corridors to the science section. When she arrived, she found Dr. Klizara floating in front of a wall of screens and sensors. Other council members were gathering too. Speaker Zethkar was there, his crystal body throwing nervous light patterns on the walls. "What is the problem?" Velinari asked. "Our long-range sensors have detected a ship approaching from the Sol system," Dr. Klizara explained. Her gas swirled faster than usual, which meant she was upset. "But it is not what we expected." On the main screen, a fuzzy image appeared. It showed a dark shape moving between the stars, still too far away to see clearly. "The vessel is much larger than we predicted," Dr. Klizara continued. "Based on energy readings, it appears to be at least 2 miles long." Ambassador Rixtel clicked his mandibles together, a sound his species made when they were confused. 2 miles? That is larger than most council ships. Why would a new species build something so big for their first space journey? "Perhaps it is a colony ship," suggested Commander Torgan. "Maybe they are planning to settle on other worlds immediately." Dr. Klizara's gas turned a darker color. "I do not think so. The energy patterns are wrong for a colony ship. This vessel appears to be designed for speed and other purposes." "What other purposes?" Speaker Zethkar asked. "I am not certain. The design is unlike anything in our databases." While the aliens tried to understand what they were seeing, the human ship moved closer to their position. Inside that ship, Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Defender. Looking at his own screens, the Defender was indeed 2 miles long, but it was not a colony ship. It was a warship, one of Earth's most powerful vessels. Its hull was dark gray metal covered in armor plating. Weapon ports lined its sides like the teeth of some giant beast. Inside its belly, fighter craft waited in launch bays. Marines trained in combat areas. Everything about the ship was built for war. Captain Martinez was a tall man with graying hair and serious brown eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth and commanded ships in the asteroid belt conflicts. His uniform was military, blue with golden rank insignia. On his belt, he carried a sidearm that no council species would recognize, a weapon designed to kill other humans. "Status report," Captain Martinez said to his bridge crew. Dr. Lisa Park looked up from her science station. She was a small woman, with short black hair and intelligent green eyes. She wore the blue uniform of Earth Fleet, with the silver insignia of the Science Division. "Sir, we are detecting massive artificial structures in the system ahead," she reported. "The largest appears to be a space station approximately 50 miles in diameter. I am reading 12 different types of technology, all unknown to our databases." Captain Martinez nodded. Earth had sent the Defender after intercepting strange signals from this direction. The signals seemed to be attempts at communication, but Earth's computers could not decode them. The only thing that was clear was that multiple unknown technologies were active in this area. "Any signs of weapons?" asked Lieutenant Ben Carter from the tactical station. He was a young man with blonde hair and blue eyes, but his baby face hid a sharp military mind. His hands moved over weapon controls with practiced ease. "Difficult to determine, sir," Dr. Park replied. "The technologies are too different from ours, but the station has multiple energy sources that could be used for defensive purposes." "And the ships around it?" "At least 20 vessels of various sizes. None appear to be in attack formations, but again, I cannot be certain of their capabilities." Captain Martinez stared at the screens showing the alien station. Earth had debated for months about how to handle first contact. Some people wanted to send scientists and diplomats. Others worried that unknown aliens might be hostile. In the end, Earth Fleet Command had decided to send the Defender. Not to attack, but to be ready for anything. The ship carried diplomats and scientists, but it also carried enough firepower to defend itself against any threat. Any response to our communications? Captain Martinez asked. Lieutenant Carter shook his head. Nothing, sir. We have been broadcasting on all frequencies for the past 6 hours. Either they cannot receive our signals or they are choosing not to respond. Sir, Dr. Park said suddenly, I am detecting a smaller vessel approaching our position. It appears to be coming from the main station. On screen, the image showed a beautiful ship with flowing lines and bright colors. It looked more like a work of art than a spacecraft. Large windows showed gardens and open areas inside. Scans show no weapons, Lieutenant Carter reported. It appears to be some kind of diplomatic vessel. Captain Martinez studied the alien ship. It was clearly not designed for war, but that did not mean the aliens were harmless. Sometimes the most dangerous enemies were the ones who looked peaceful. Maintain alert status, he ordered. Continue scanning. I want to know everything about their capabilities before we make contact. Back on the Council station, the screens now showed a clear image of the human ship. The Council members stared in growing alarm. The vessel was massive and angular, covered in dark armor. Strange protrusions stuck out from its hull at regular intervals. Those are weapon ports, Commander Torgan said quietly. His stone-like face showed worry for the first time in centuries. I recognized the pattern from ancient war museum displays. Weapons? Ambassador Velinari's skin shifted to shocked red patterns. But they are a new species. New species always send exploration vessels or diplomatic ships for first contact. Not this species, Dr. Klizara said. Her gas had turned almost black. With concern, look at the design. Nothing about that ship suggests peaceful intent. No windows, no open areas, no gardens. Just armor and weapons. Speaker Zethkar's crystal body had stopped throwing light patterns entirely. He was completely still, which happened only when he was deeply shocked. Send a standard diplomatic greeting, he finally ordered. Maybe they do not understand our peaceful intentions. The heart of peace transmitted the universal peace signal that had been used for 3,000 years. It was a mathematical sequence that showed intelligence and peaceful intent, followed by images of different species working together. On the Defender, Dr. Park picked up the transmission immediately. Sir, we are receiving a signal from the alien vessel. It appears to be some kind of greeting. Can you decode it? Partially. The mathematical sequence is clear. It shows they are intelligent. The images are harder to understand, but they seem to show different alien species in peaceful situations. Captain Martinez thought about this. The aliens were trying to communicate, and the message seemed friendly. But he did not lower his guard. In his experience, the most dangerous situations often started with friendly greetings. Prepare a response, he ordered. But keep weapons ready. Something feels wrong about all this. Dr. Park began preparing humanity's response. But unlike the alien greeting, the human message included questions about territorial boundaries, military capabilities, and defensive alliances. These were normal diplomatic questions for humans, but they were concepts that the Peaceful Council had not dealt with in thousands of years. As the messages traveled between the ships, both sides began to realize that this first contact was going to be very different from anything either had experienced before. The Defender continued its approach, its massive bulk casting shadows across the sensors of every ship in the system. Behind its armored hull, 5,000 human crew members prepared. For humanity's first meeting with alien life, none of them were afraid. That should have been the Council's first warning. Image description for Leonardo. AI, a massive dark gray military starship with angular armor plating and rows of weapon ports along its hull, approaching a beautiful, colorful alien space station. The warship is 2 miles long with a menacing, purely functional design. No windows or decorative elements, just weapons and armor. In the foreground, a smaller, elegant alien diplomatic ship with flowing curves, bright colors, and visible gardens. Through large, transparent sections floats nearby. The scene is set in deep space with stars in the background. The contrast between the brutal human warship and the artistic alien vessels should be stark and dramatic. The council chamber had never been so quiet. Every alien representative stared at the main screen, watching the massive human warship grow larger as it approached their position. The vessel's dark hull seemed to swallow light, making it look like a piece of the void itself had come to life. Speaker Zethkara's crystal body flickered with nervous energy. In 3,000 years of leading the council, he had never faced a situation like this. Every first contact in recorded history had followed the same pattern. A small, scared exploration vessel would appear. The council would send peaceful greetings. The new species would respond with joy and relief at finding friendly neighbors. This was different. This ship was not small or scared. It was huge and dangerous, built for war in a galaxy that had forgotten what war looked like. Open a communication channel. Speaker Zethkar ordered. Dr. Klizara's gas swirled as she activated the universal translators. The system had been perfected over thousands of years. It could translate any language, any thought pattern, any form of communication that intelligent beings might use. Channel open, Speaker, she reported. Unknown vessel. This is Speaker Zethkar of the Galactic Council, he began, using the standard greeting that had worked for every first contact. We welcome you to this region of space. We come in peace and friendship. We represent 12 species who have lived in harmony for 3,000 years. We invite you to join us in this peaceful community. On the bridge of the Defender, Doctor. Park looked up from her communications station. Sir, we are receiving a transmission. The universal translator is working on it now. Captain Martinez waited as the computers processed the alien message. When the translation appeared on his screen, he read it carefully. The aliens were claiming to represent 12 different species. They spoke of peace and harmony. They were inviting humanity to join some kind of galactic community, but Captain Martinez had not survived 3 wars by taking things at face value. These aliens had superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Their peaceful words might be a trap. Even if they were sincere, they clearly expected humanity to simply agree to whatever terms they offered. Prepare a response, Captain Martinez ordered. Dr. Park, what can our sensors tell us about their defensive capabilities? The station appears to have energy shields and what might be defensive weapons, she replied. But the designs are completely unknown. I cannot determine their actual combat effectiveness. Captain Martinez nodded. He would respond to the aliens. But he would also gather the information Earth needed to protect itself. Unknown alien vessels, this is Captain Jake Martinez of the Earth Federation ship Defender, he began. We represent the human species from the planet Earth. We have received your message and appreciate your peaceful intentions. However, before we can discuss any agreements, we need to establish clear territorial boundaries and understand the military situation in this region of space. The message traveled across space to the council station. Dr. Klizara received it and began running it through the translators, but something was wrong. The computers kept stopping and requesting clarification on certain words and concepts. What is the problem? Speaker Zethkar asked. The translation system is having difficulty with several terms, Dr. Klizara reported. The human leader used words that do not exist in any council language. What words? Territorial boundaries, military situation, and defensive capabilities. The translators can find approximate meanings, but these concepts are so foreign that the system cannot provide accurate translations. Ambassador Velinari's skin shifted to confused brown patterns. Territorial boundaries? What does that mean? Dr. Klizara's gas swirled as she consulted her databases. Based on context, it appears to refer to areas of space that belong to specific species, areas that others cannot enter without permission. But space belongs to everyone, Commander Torgan rumbled. No one owns empty space. And what about this military situation term? Asked Ambassador Rickstall. That is even more puzzling, Dr. Klizara admitted. The closest translation would be something like warfare status or combat readiness. But those are ancient concepts from before the peace. A chill ran through the council chamber. The peaceful aliens were beginning to understand that the humans thought in ways that were completely foreign to their civilization. Speaker Zethkar tried to respond in terms the humans might understand. Captain Martinez, we appreciate your caution. However, we must clarify that there are no territorial boundaries in council space. All regions are open to peaceful travel and trade. As for military situations, we have not experienced warfare. For 3,000 years, this region of space is completely safe. On the Defender, Captain Martinez read the alien response with growing concern. No territorial boundaries meant no one was protecting their space. No warfare for 3,000 years suggested these aliens were either incredibly naive or had never faced a real threat. Sir, Lieutenant Carter said from his tactical station, I am reading at least 50 alien vessels in this system, all with unknown capabilities. If they wanted to destroy us, we would not stand a chance. I am aware of that, Lieutenant, Captain Martinez replied. But they have not attacked, which suggests they really are peaceful. The question is whether that peace comes from strength or weakness. Dr. Park looked up from her scans. Sir, I am detecting something unusual about their ship designs. None of them appear to have significant weapon systems. Their hulls are lightweight, designed for speed and comfort rather than combat. Captain Martinez felt a growing sense of unease. In his experience, species that survived without weapons either lived in perfect isolation or had some other form of protection. Since these aliens claimed to represent 12 different species, isolation was not the answer. Send another message, he ordered. Ask them directly about their defense systems. Captain Martinez to alien vessels. We are curious about your security arrangements. In human space, we maintain defense fleets to protect our worlds from potential threats. What systems do you use to protect your territory from hostile forces? When this message reached the council, Dr. Klizara S. Gass turned almost black with confusion. Speaker, I am not certain how to translate this. The humans are asking about defense against hostile forces. But there are no hostile forces in the galaxy. What do they mean by defense fleets? Ambassador Velinari asked. Based on context, it appears to be groups of warships designed to fight. Other warships, Dr. Klizara replied. The council chamber fell silent again. The aliens were starting to understand something that horrified them. The humans had not sent a diplomatic mission or an exploration vessel. They had sent a warship because they expected to find enemies. Commander Torgan spoke what everyone was thinking. They expect violence? Even when coming to meet unknown aliens for the first time, they brought weapons and soldiers. More than that, Ambassador Rickstall added. They have defense fleets, which means they have enemies at home. They are asking about our defenses because they assume everyone has enemies. Speaker Zethkar S. Crystal Body had gone completely dark. Send a response. Explain that we have no defense fleets because we have no enemies. Dr. Klizara transmitted the message, but she could already predict the human reaction. The humans would either think the council was lying or realize that they had stumbled into a region of space populated by species that had never learned to defend themselves. On the Defender, Captain Martinez read the alien response with growing alarm. No defense fleets and no enemies could only mean one of two things. Either these aliens were so powerful that nothing dared threaten them, or they were helpless prey that had simply been lucky enough to avoid predators. Dr. Park, run a full tactical analysis of their station and ships, he ordered. I want to know if they are hiding weapons or if they really are defenseless. Sir, Dr. Park said after several minutes of scanning, I can find no evidence of significant weapon systems. Their technology is clearly advanced, but it appears to be focused entirely on peaceful purposes. Transportation, communication, research, and what looks like artistic endeavors. Lieutenant Carter looked up from his station. Sir, are you saying these aliens have no military? That appears to be the case, Lieutenant, but how do they settle disputes? How do they protect themselves? How do they maintain order across 12 different species? Captain Martinez had the same questions. In human history, every large group eventually faced conflicts that could not be resolved with words alone. Someone always wanted what someone else had. Someone always believed their way was better than everyone else's way. Send another message, he ordered. Ask them how they handle conflicts between their species. When the aliens received this question, they finally began to understand the true depth of the problem. The humans were not just asking about military defense. They were asking about the basic structure of galactic civilization. And the humans were asking these questions because they could not imagine a civilization that worked any other way. Dr. Klizara looked at Speaker Zethkar. Speaker, I believe we are dealing with a species that has never known true peace. They think conflict is normal. They expect violence so much that they came to first contact in a warship. The truth was starting to dawn on the Council. The communication between the Council and the human ship continued for 2 more hours, but each exchange only made things more confusing. Every question the humans asked seemed impossible to answer. Every answer the Council gave seemed a puzzle. The humans even more. Speaker Zethkar finally decided to try a different approach. Instead of avoiding the humans' strange questions, maybe it was time to understand why they were asking them. Captain Martinez, he transmitted, we have been peaceful for 3,000 years. In all that time, no Council species has fought with another. We resolve our differences through discussion and compromise. Perhaps you could help us understand why you find this so difficult to believe. On the Defender, Captain Martinez read the message and felt a deep sense of unease. 3,000 years of peace was hard to imagine. Even Earth's longest peace treaties rarely lasted more than a few decades before someone found a reason to break them. Dr. Park, he said, prepare a cultural exchange package. Include Earth's historical records. If these aliens really have been at peace for 3,000 years, they need to understand what they are dealing with. Dr. Park looked uncertain. Sir, our historical records contain detailed information about human warfare. Are you sure we want to share that with potentially hostile aliens? They do not seem hostile, Doctor. They seem naive. That might be more dangerous in the long run. Dr. Park began preparing the data package. She included Earth's major conflicts, military technology development, and strategic doctrines. She also added information about human territorial expansion and resource competition. Package ready, sir, she reported. Transmit it. And Dr. Park? Include our military organizational structure. They asked about defense fleets. Let them see what a defense fleet actually looks like. The data package traveled to the Council station. Dr. Klizara received it and began running the information through the translation systems. At first, everything seemed normal. The humans were sharing cultural information just as the Council had hoped. Then Dr. Klizara began to understand what she was looking at. Speaker, she said, her gas swirling faster and faster, I need the entire Council to see this immediately. What is it, Doctor? The humans have sent us their historical records. Speaker, I do not think we understood what kind of species we are dealing with. Dr. Klizara activated the main display screen. Images from human history began to appear. Ancient battles with swords and shields. Medieval wars with castles and siege engines. Modern conflicts with tanks and aircraft. Space battles in the asteroid belt. The Council members stared in shocked silence. These are historical records? Ambassador Velinari asked. Her skin had turned completely white, which happened only when her species was terrified. According to the data stamps, yes, Dr. Klizara replied. But Speaker, there is more, much more. She brought up a timeline of human conflicts. The display showed thousands of wars, battles, and military actions stretching across 5,000 years of recorded history. This cannot be accurate, Commander. Torgan rumbled. No species could survive this much violence. I ran the data through our verification systems 3 times, Dr. Klizara said. According to these records, the human species has been continuously at war somewhere on their planet for the past 5,000 years. The word continuously hung in the air like poison. The Council members could not even imagine what it meant. Ambassador Rikstal clicked his mandibles nervously. Perhaps this refers to small conflicts, disagreements between individuals or small groups. Dr. Klizara brought up more detailed records. No, Ambassador? These are large-scale conflicts involving millions of individuals. Some of these wars lasted for decades, others involved multiple species. Multiple human nations simultaneously. Speaker Zethkar's crystal body had gone completely dark. Show us their current military structure. The display changed to show Earth's defense fleets. Hundreds of warships organized into battle groups. Thousands of fighter craft. Military bases on dozens of worlds and asteroid installations. They maintain standing armies even during peacetime, Dr. Klizara reported. Military service is considered normal for their young adults. They have academies specifically designed to teach warfare. Teaching warfare? Ambassador Velinari's voice was barely a whisper. It gets worse, Dr. Klizara continued. They have weapons designed specifically to kill other humans. Not tools that could be used as weapons, but devices created for no other purpose than ending human life. She showed images of human weapons. Rifles, missiles, combat spacecraft, and orbital bombardment platforms. They call this military technology, she said, and they are constantly improving it. Even during their peaceful periods, they continued to develop new ways to fight. The council chamber had become completely silent. These revelations were beyond anything they had imagined possible. A species that not only knew how to fight, but actively practiced fighting even when there was no enemy to fight. There is one more thing, Dr. Klizara said quietly. They have included data about something they call military exercises. She activated a new display showing human training operations. Simulated battles where humans fought against other humans using non-lethal weapons. Large-scale operations involving thousands of soldiers practicing warfare. They practice fighting each other, Dr. Klizara explained. Even when they are not at war, they pretend to be at war so they can improve their fighting skills. Ambassador. Rixtel made a choking sound. They fight each other for practice? How is that possible? According to their records, they believe that constant training is necessary to maintain military readiness. They conduct these exercises regularly to ensure their forces remain effective. Commander Torgan shifted his massive stone body. But why, if they have been at peace with these aliens? For 3,000 years, why would they need to maintain military readiness? Dr. Klizara checked the human data again. Speaker, I do not think you understand. They have not been at peace for 3,000 years. According to their records, they have multiple active conflicts happening right now, even as we speak. The truth hit the council like a physical blow. While they had been enjoying 3 millennia of perfect peace, humanity had been fighting continuous wars. Not only were humans capable of violence, they were actively engaged in violence at this very moment. What kind of conflicts? Speaker, Zethkar asked. Territorial disputes, resource competition, and ideological differences. They have something called pirates who attack merchant vessels. They have rebels who fight against established governments. They have border conflicts between different human nations. But they all belong to the same species, Ambassador Velinari protested. Why would they fight each other? Dr. Klizara consulted the data. They appear to be divided into hundreds of smaller groups called nations. These nations compete with each other for territory, resources, and influence. Sometimes this competition leads to warfare. The concept was completely alien to the Council. Yes, the 12 species were different from each other, but they had learned to work together. The idea of a single species splitting into competing factions was unthinkable. Show us their current conflicts. Speaker Zethkar ordered. The display changed to show active human military operations. Mining disputes in the asteroid belt, anti-piracy patrols around trade routes, border conflicts on colony worlds. Even as humanity was making first contact with alien life, they were fighting 3 separate wars among themselves. This is normal. For them, Dr. Klizara said. According to their cultural data, they consider this level of conflict to be acceptable. They call it maintaining the peace through strength. Ambassador Rixtel laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Peace through strength? They are at war, and they call it peace? There is more, Dr. Klizara continued. Their military doctrine includes something called deterrence. They believe that having superior weapons prevents conflicts by making enemies afraid to attack. But if everyone has superior weapons, how does that prevent anything? Commander, Torgan asked. Apparently it leads to what they call arms races, where each side tries to build better weapons than the other side. The Council was beginning to understand that they were not dealing with a slightly more aggressive version of a normal species. They were dealing with something completely outside their experience. A species that had not only failed to achieve peace, but had turned warfare into a science. Dr. Klizara, Speaker Zethkar said slowly, what does this mean for us? I am not certain, Speaker. But I believe we need to reconsider everything we thought we knew about galactic civilization. On the Defender, Captain Martinez waited for the alien response to his cultural exchange. When it came, it was much shorter than he had expected. Captain Martinez, we have reviewed your historical data. We need time to understand what we have learned. We will contact you again when we are ready to continue discussions, Captain Martinez frowned. The alien sounded shaken. That was not a good sign. In his experience, when potential enemies became frightened, they either ran away or prepared. To attack, maintain alert status, he ordered, and prepare for anything. Image description for Leonardo AI. For 6 hours, the council chamber remained empty and silent. After seeing the human historical records, every member had retreated to their private quarters to think about what they had learned. The peaceful galaxy they had known for 3,000 years suddenly felt different, smaller, and much more dangerous. Speaker Zethkar was the first to return. His crystal body was still dark, showing no light patterns at all. He had spent those 6 hours reviewing every first contact in council history, trying to understand how they had missed something so important. One by one, the other council members returned. Ambassador Velinari's skin showed deep purple patterns of fear and confusion. Commander Torgan moved slowly, as if his stone body had become even heavier. Dr. Klizara's gas swirled in tight, nervous circles. We must discuss what we have learned, Speaker Zethkar said when everyone had gathered. But first, I want to understand something. Dr. Klizara, how many species have we welcomed to the Council in the past 3,000 years? 47. Species, Speaker, she replied immediately. And what did they all have in common? Dr. Klizara's gas shifted color as she thought. They were all peaceful. They all resolved conflicts through discussion. They all abandoned warfare before achieving space travel. Exactly, Speaker Zethkar said. We assumed this was normal. We thought that intelligence naturally led to peace. We believed that any species smart enough to build spaceships would be smart enough to stop fighting. Ambassador Rixtal clicked his mandibles. But the humans prove that is not true. They are clearly intelligent, their technology is impressive, but they have never stopped fighting. More than that, Commander Torgan rumbled. They have turned fighting into a science. They study it, practice it, and improve it constantly. For them, war is not a failure of civilization, it is part of civilization. The council members sat in uncomfortable silence. Everything they believed about galactic society was wrong. The 3,000 years of peace had not happened because intelligence led to peace. It had happened because every species that achieved space travel had already chosen peace over war. Until now. What do we do? Ambassador Velinari asked, how do we deal with a species that thinks violence is normal? We could refuse to make contact, suggested Ambassador Rixtal. Declare their space off limits and pretend they do not exist. Dr. Klizara's gas turned darker. That might not be possible. Their technology is advancing rapidly. According to their data, they achieved faster than light travel only 50 years ago. Now they have warships that can cross the galaxy. How long before they explore beyond their current territory? And if they encounter other species who are not prepared for their kind of thinking, Commander Torgan added. Species like the peaceful traders or the garden worlds? Those civilizations have no defenses at all. The terrible truth was becoming clear. The humans were not just a problem for the Council. They were a problem for every peaceful species in the galaxy. Sooner or later, humanity would spread out from their home territory and meet other civilizations. And those civilizations would be as unprepared as the Council had been. There is another possibility, Speaker Zethkar said slowly. We could try to work with them. Work with them? Ambassador Velinari's skin flashed bright red. They are violent and dangerous. How could we possibly work with such beings? Because they might be exactly what the galaxy needs. Speaker Zethkar replied. The other council members stared at him in shock. Think about it, he continued. For 3,000 years, we have assumed the galaxy was safe because we made it. Safe, but what if we were wrong? What if the galaxy was safe because nothing truly dangerous had ever appeared? Dr. Klizara's gas swirled faster. What do you mean, Speaker? We have explored only a small part of the galaxy. There are millions of worlds we have never visited, thousands of species we have never met. What if some of those species are like the humans? What if there are aggressive, warlike civilizations out there that we simply have not encountered yet? The possibility sent chills through the council chamber. They had always assumed that any species they met would be peaceful like themselves. But the humans proved that assumption was wrong. If such species exist, Commander Torgan said slowly, we would be helpless against them. Exactly. But the humans would not be helpless. They understand warfare in ways we cannot even imagine. They could protect us. Ambassador Rikstal made a choking sound. You are suggesting we ally ourselves with these violent beings. I am suggesting we consider all possibilities, Speaker Zethkar replied. The humans have not attacked us. They have been cautious but not hostile. Perhaps there is a way to benefit from their strength without adopting their violence. Before anyone could respond, Dr. Klizara interrupted. Speaker, the humans are transmitting again. What do they say? Captain Martinez requests permission to send a small shuttle to the station. He wants to meet with us directly. The council members looked at each other nervously. Meeting face-to-face with these violent aliens seemed dangerous, but they also knew they could not avoid this decision forever. Grant permission? Speaker Zethkar decided. But maintain full security protocols. 2 hours later, a small human shuttle docked with the council station. Captain Martinez emerged wearing his military uniform with visible weapons on his belt. With him came Dr. Park and Lieutenant Carter, both also armed and in military dress. The three humans were escorted to a special meeting room designed for dangerous first contacts. Force fields could be activated instantly if needed. Security sensors monitored everything. Captain Martinez looked around the room and immediately understood its purpose. You are afraid of us? He said simply. Should we not be? Speaker Zethkar replied. That depends on your intentions, Captain Martinez said. We have studied your civilization during our approach. You have achieved something remarkable. 3,000 years of peace across multiple species is impressive. But you do not believe it can last, Dr. Klizara observed. Captain Martinez considered his words carefully. I believe it has lasted because you have been fortunate. The galaxy is a big place. You have not met everything that lives in it. And you have? Ambassador Velinari challenged. No, but we have learned to be ready for anything. That is the difference between us. Lieutenant Carter stepped forward. Sir, if I may? Captain Martinez nodded. We intercepted some of your communications. Before we arrived? Carter explained. Your traders travel along fixed routes. Your colonies are undefended. Your exploration ships have no weapons. If you encountered a hostile species, you would have no way to protect yourselves. We would negotiate, Ambassador Rikstal said. What if they do not want to negotiate? Dr. Park asked. What if they want to take your worlds, your resources, your technology? What if they see your peaceful nature as weakness to be exploited? The council members had no answer to that question. In 3,000 years, they had never needed one. Captain Martinez leaned forward. We would like to propose an arrangement. Earth offers to provide military protection for council space. In exchange, we ask for technology sharing, trade agreements, and territorial recognition. Military protection? Speaker Zethkar asked. Defense fleets positioned at key locations. Rapid response forces for emergencies. Training for your security. Personnel, early warning systems for hostile contacts. And in exchange, you want us to accept your violent ways? No, Captain Martinez said firmly. We want you to continue being exactly what you are. The galaxy needs peaceful civilizations, like yours. But it also needs someone to protect that peace when words are not enough. The council fell silent. The humans were offering something that had never existed before. Protection without conquest. Strength without violence toward the protected. How do we know you will not turn your weapons on us? Commander Torgan asked. Captain Martinez smiled for the first time. Because you have something more valuable than anything we could take by force? What is that? You know how to live in peace? You have built something beautiful here. We may be good at war, but you are good at everything else. We need that as much as you need our protection. Dr. Park added, our species have opposite strengths. Apart, we each have serious weaknesses. Together we could create something neither could achieve alone. Speaker Zethkar's crystal body finally began to show light patterns again. You are proposing symbiosis. In a way, yes, Captain Martinez agreed. You provide the wisdom of peace. We provide the strength to maintain that peace. The galaxy gets the benefits of both. The council members looked at each other. This was not the first contact they had expected. But perhaps it was the first contact the galaxy needed. We will need time to consider your proposal, Speaker Zethkar said. Of course. But consider this as well. Captain Martinez stood to leave. Whether you accept our protection or not, humanity will continue to expand into the galaxy. We would prefer to do so as your allies rather than as strangers, you fear. After the humans left, the council remained in session for 18 hours. They debated, argued, and struggled with concepts that challenged everything they believed. In the end, they reached a decision that would change the galaxy forever. The age of peace through harmony was ending. The age of peace through strength was about to begin.